So do the Muslims want Khilafah? We have to split this question up into two parts and make the distinction between the people and the leaders themselves. The leaders, if you look at the history, let's take Pakistan as an example, where Pakistan was occupied by the British, and then when partition happened, they left a proxy government in place. Now, what I mean by proxy government is that it's there to serve the interests of the colonialists without them being there physically. So they set up a government according to their own principles, their own values, their own ideology, if you like, one which is implementing democracy or so-called democracy and capitalism, with a leader that looks like the people of Pakistan. So, he speaks the same language, he looks like them, etc. But in essence, the system that he was implementing or trying to implement was not an Islamic system, although the veneer, the cover of the system was Islamic, but underneath the skin, it was very much a non-Islamic kufr system that he was implementing, i.e. Qadi-Azam. And since then, you've had one successive leader after another, which has come into power through various means, either through elections or via military coups. Now, what you got to remember is that the leaders on top, they get treated very well and they are paid very handsomely by their colonial masters. So previously in Pakistan, it would have been the British that were the colonizers that were in charge, but now it's the Americans, and they control these regions through various means, through things like IMF and the World Bank, etc. Do these people want the Khilafah? The answer is obviously no. They don't, because they don't. Then they lose the power. They lose their power. They lose their benefits that they get. So you've got to remember, there's a very, very, very small class of people that actually benefit from the corruption, from being sellouts, from serving the interests of the colonialists. They are not the masses. They are a very, very select, small group of people. And this can be said the same about Saudi Arabia and all of the other Muslim majority countries. I say Muslim majority because none of these countries are ruling by Islam. Not even Saudi Arabia. It doesn't rule by Islam. Although there may be this misconception that it does, but in reality, it's not. So the rulers don't want the Khilafah. And just to give you one more example, since we touched upon Saudi Arabia, if you look at the history of the Saudis, they were started by the House of Saud. So going back, a few years before the Khilafah was destroyed, these people, or the people of Al Saud, the Saud family, they were agents of the British. They were aided, they were funded, they were given support and weapons to go and fight against the Khilafah, right? So they went and actually were divisive in the destruction of the Khilafah, right? They sided with the British in order to achieve this objective. And since then, the royal family has been in control. This is what was given to them as a reward for their treachery. So we have seen nothing but treachery from the House of Saud. And Mohammed bin Salman, he's no different. You can see what he's doing in the world is exactly nothing more than treachery. So do the leaders of the Muslim world, do they want the Khilafah? Answer is obviously no, they don't, right? But do the people want the Khilafah? I would say overwhelmingly the answer to this question is yes. Why? If we go back a few years and we look at the Arab Spring, what we saw was that there was a individual in Tunisia who set himself on fire because of the economic situation and the hardship that he was facing. Out of desperation, he set himself on fire, and this then sent a domino effect throughout the Muslim world, where you started to have rebellions. We saw a rebellion and an overthrow of the regime in Egypt, and this spread all the way up to Syria. And what's happening in Syria is still raging on since then, even now. Now, what came into place when Hosni Mubarak was removed is the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, if you know anything about the Muslim Brotherhood, they are a pro-Islamic party or entity, institution that, their objective was to rule by Islam. But their method was to go through the ballot box and try this gradualism approach to establishing an Islamic rule, which eventually got overthrown by the CIA. And today we have Sisi in power, who was another agent who came into power through the help of the army and a CIA initiated coup. Does Sisi want Khilafah? Obviously not. Does Mohammed bin Salman want the Khilafah? No, he doesn't. Right? But my point here is that the people, when they were given the choice to choose who's going to be in power over them, they selected a pro-Islamic party. So in answer to the question is, do the Muslims want Khilafah? I would say overwhelmingly the answer is yes. Why? Because it's part of our Aqidah. Our Aqidah stipulates that the one who has the right to legislate is Allah, and the Quran and the Sunnah are the source of our legislation. The fact that over the last 100 or so years we've had non-Muslim rule forced upon us is a result of the colonialists, and the colonialists imposing their way and their system over us through their agents. But the Muslim world is overwhelmingly in support for the Khilafah, and that hopefully is the answer to the question. Now, I will be doing some more videos with some statistics of surveys that have been done in support of this, which there are some which I don't have to hand, but I will make some hopefully.